Hello, Stacy here with Siouxland Magazine, and my guest this evening is Anne, and Anne is with Siouxland Habitat for Humanity. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Stacy. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here tonight. This is a pretty important topic that we're going to be talking about. So, for all of you out there, get cozy. Let's plug in and let's do this thing. So, a lot of people have heard about, I hope, have heard about Habitat for Humanity, right?
We hope
But
so, yeah.
but just in case, I never want to assume. So, just in case they haven't, can you give us a little bit of background? What is Habitat for Humanity?
Sure. So we are a global nonprofit with a Christian mission built on the belief that everyone deserves access to safe and affordable housing and shelter.
Mhm.
And it was started in 1976 from a couple named Millard and Linda Fuller down in Americus, Georgia. And they kind of started this concept of partnership housing, where they realized that if a future occupant of the household had some skin in the game, partnered in building that house and creating that household, that it could bear really great fruits on both sides. So they actually took a trip across the ocean over to Africa to kind of put their theory into play a little bit, and they had such great success. Then they brought it back to the United States and officially launched Habitat for Humanity in 1976. So now we are officially in all 50 states, 70 countries, and then we became a local affiliate in Sioux City in 1992. So we're just about to approach our 30th anniversary, which is exciting.
Yeah, I did not realize the part about Africa and starting it there.
Yeah,
So
it's a really neat story how they
interesting.
really went global first and then brought it
Uh-huh.
back to America.
More local. Interesting. So I love these things because we get to always, or at least I do for sure. I hope all of you do too, but we get to learn these little things that we didn't know before coming together for this tonight. So you've been around since 1992 here in the Siouxland area, and
Yeah.
you are helping people have a, like you said, a safe place, a home, somewhere, to lay their head at night, which not much more important than that, right? Like to have that sense of security and to have a home, that's huge. And what I
Sure.
love about it is the fact that, and I think this is something we're going to talk about because sometimes there's this misconception. You guys aren't just giving a home. They've got, like you said, they've got some skin in the game. So can you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
Absolutely. So, I mean, what you talked about, home ownership in particular, and safe and decent housing is really what we advocate for on a local, state, and national level. Because there are a lot of factors. When you think of kind of that pebble concept, when you drop the pebble in the water and it creates that ripple effect, we
Mm.
wholeheartedly believe that same thing happens with home ownership. Because there are about 1 in 6 families right now who are paying over 50% of their monthly household income for their mortgage or for their rent. And that's
Wow.
really considered severely cost burden. So we're
Yeah.
looking for ways to really lessen that burden. And when you look at studies for that ripple effect about how children really can thrive and survive in a household that's stable, in a neighborhood that's safe, where they can play and where their family feels a sense of pride, and all of that can be accomplished through home ownership. So that's part of that
Mhm.
ripple effect that we like. But we have a very specific application process when we accept families into our partner. We call them partner families once they
Yeah.
convert from being an applicant to actually being accepted to receiving one of our Habitat homes. So they go through an application process. They have to fall within 40 to 80% of the annual income for their particular county. And we serve 5 counties. So those are Union, Dakota, Woodbury, Sioux, and Plymouth counties.
Mhm.
So we look at their income. So the first thing they have to be able to do is satisfy the ability to pay. So these are not free homes that we are giving away. We do expect that they have a mortgage to pay every month, just like a person who might go to a bank and get a conventional loan. But
Mhm.
one of the benefits of being a Habitat homeowner is that you have 0% interest. So when you think
Nice.
of all that can save you, yes, on a monthly
Yeah.
basis, that makes a really big difference for individuals and families. So
Mhm.
part of our guarantee as Habitat is that we promise that no more than 30% of your annual monthly income will go towards your mortgage cost. And so then those families do also on top of that pay for their insurance, and then also they have an escrow account to pay for their taxes as well. So it's
Mhm.
very much structured like any conventional loan.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay. So you said they have the application process.
They do.
You
They
guys.
also have to demonstrate a need as well, Stacy. So the three parts are the willingness or the ability to pay, the need, and need is really probably the area of the application that there's the most flexibility with.
Mhm.
Need can take all kinds of forms. So for example, the one woman who we just were able to turn over a Habitat house to, she in her previous residence, she was heating the place with her stove. So obviously there
Oh
was
my
an
gosh.
unsafe, it was an
Right.
unsafe situation there. We have families a lot who
Hmm.
say the neighborhood isn't safe enough for their children to play outside. So
Mhm.
need takes all kinds of forms. And
Hmm.
then the third element is they have to have a willingness to partner. And that goes way back to the start of Habitat for
Yeah.
Humanity in Africa and then in Georgia as well, that they need to be able to want to partner with us and be invested. If it's not necessarily in that own property that they will eventually end up owning, they can also choose to put in what we call sweat equity, either at another family's home, or they can work in our restore, they can work here in our
Hmm.
offices. But we ask two-parent households that they put in 500 hours of sweat equity.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, there's a sense of pride in doing that too, in purpose.
Absolutely. It shows hard work, it shows determination, it shows commitment, it sets an example if there are any children in the household. But
Yeah.
again, it also shows their willingness and their desire to get to the end process as
Mhm.
homeownership as their goal.
Mhm. Yep. So I love it. So they fill out that app, you guys review that, and then you pick. So about how many, you just said you had one recently. I know you've got another one
Yes.
coming up before the end of the year. About how
Yep.
many of these do you guys do every year?
So we try to do 3 to 4 houses per year. We have 65 Habitat houses in all that we've been able to
Wow.
do since we became an affiliate. And yes, so we just had one in Sioux City about a week and a half ago, and we have one more coming up in Rock Valley before the end of the year.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
how do people, so for all those listening out there, so this might not be something that they need directly, but yet again, everything we do that serves other members in this community helps to build our community, make our community better. And so maybe they want to support Habitat for Humanity, Siouxland's Habitat for Humanity. How can they go about doing that? I'm sure there's probably multiple ways.
There are lots of ways because we like to be able to try to find whatever fits into a prospective partner's niche, whether it's donations, obviously. We also encourage people to shop at our restore, which might be an element that a lot of people are not super familiar with. So at our Triview Avenue location in Sioux City, we actually have a restore. So if you're working on a small project at your house, a renovation project, maybe you're looking for something cool to repurpose, we sell tools, we sell pieces of trim. So if you're just looking for one little piece instead of going to a big box store, we would encourage you to stop here and see if we've got it. We sell paint, we sell furniture, a lot of times from folks like L&L Builders locally, Curry Flooring, also from Lowe's. We get great new shipments of windows and exterior doors in a lot too. So
Mhm.
we have a great mix of brand new and then gently used items that are donated. So you can come shop our store for those items. You can also, let's say you might be downsizing your house or your apartment, or maybe you are about to enter a retirement facility and you need to sell your house. We also accept donations. So if you have anything from your home that you'd like to donate, you can bring it to our restore and we can also schedule a pickup as well. People
Yeah.
can support by following us on social media for sure. On Facebook, we'd love you to come to Siouxland Habitat for Humanity. And then you can volunteer in normal circumstances and non-pandemic scenarios. We'd love to have
Yeah.
you volunteer to help build houses. But we also say, you don't have to lift a hammer to help make home ownership possible. So you
Yeah.
can
Lots
volunteer in
of
our
ways.
restore, you can volunteer in our office, just lots of different ways once we're back to a point. Right now, we've had to hit pause on using volunteers, but
Mhm.
we hope by spring to be able to kind of reassess that and be able to accept some volunteers. And then, of
Yeah.
course, we've always got events going on that people can take part in as well.
Yeah. And before we talk about the events, Anne, I want to just go a little bit deeper on the restore because I love
Yeah.
it. So it's not only being able to shop there and then, like you said, also to be able to donate, but sometimes we don't think about the ways we could donate because maybe it's something where like you're getting all new kitchen cabinets, right?
Yes.
And then you're like,
Absolutely.
oh, I got to take these out. I don't want them to go to a landfill. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just, I wanted something new, something fresh.
Yes.
this is such a perfect opportunity to, one, we're not putting stuff in a landfill. Two, if they're in good shape, like let somebody get to use them. And then, like you said, you guys will come out to the house and help with that process and take them. So that even helps you as that homeowner. So
Absolutely. So we do pickups on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We can schedule those if we need to, but also it's part of the bigger opportunity that when, it's part of that full circle moment a little bit, that when you bring an item to the restore to be donated, then we can resell it to somebody else. And we use those funds to continue pushing this process forward to help another family. So whether you're bringing in a pedestal sink, whether you're bringing in, maybe it's half a box left over of tile that you used for a backsplash that you don't need the rest of it. All of those things are actually helping create home ownership opportunities for low income individuals in our community.
Yeah. Do you guys take, so question for you, I've done some research. I know some of the things that you guys do because I've done some of this, but do you guys take, let's say I painted a room, didn't have enough paint, went down, had to get another, I don't know, for whatever reason. Let's say I bought 2 gallons. I ended up using 1 gallon and barely anything in that second gallon. Do you guys take good quality, like paint that's still good too?
So we wouldn't take anything that's already been opened, to
Can't
be
be opened.
honest,
Okay.
but we will take
Okay.
anything that's unused in
That's
terms of
unused.
paint.
Gotcha.
But in terms of furniture items, anything that's gently used for sure, even appliances. And then even the last week, we had somebody bring in a 50-inch television that I think came and went in the same day. So as long as things are in good reusable condition, and we may even, touch them up a little bit, or you might, replace a little foot on maybe a dresser or something like that. So I don't want to give the impression everything is in brand new condition, because it's the restore for your repurposed needs.
Yeah. And so the best way to go about this would be to call you guys and just have that conversation about, hey, this is what I've got. Will this be something that you could take? That be the best way to do that?
Phone calls are great. You can snap a picture and you can, send it to us as well. And then also we accept donations here at the Restore as well. So if it's something you wanted to back your truck up, we'll take a look at it on the spot as well.
Nice. All right. And so events, you just kind of barely touched on that. Let's go into that. So I know you have something coming up pretty soon, and then something this spring. Let's talk about the first one.
Okay. Well, like a lot of nonprofits, it's been a challenging year for sure. And we were really disappointed to have to cancel our primary fundraiser, which was Bacon Fest in connection with the Hard Rock. So that's always been a family-friendly event that people have really loved. And so we really hated to have to cancel it this year, but we're looking forward to 2021. And so we've had kind of, revamp a little bit, if you will, to try to find what can we put into place to give people an opportunity to support Habitat in a way that might attract some new people, create some new awareness about Habitat, but also be kind of pandemic proof a little bit. So one of the things that we've come up with that is really a quick turnaround for us, that has a deadline, as you mentioned, that's quickly approaching. It's brand new for us. We're calling it our Stud of the Month calendar. So it's a little tongue in cheek, and we're not talking about, a beefcake kind of calendar here.
No.
Us, it's actually based on the studs in a house. So we estimate that it takes about 300 studs to build one Habitat for Humanity house. And so we are asking people to sponsor these studs, which we do every year. You can sponsor a stud for about $100. And then we have what's called a stud finder event. And you get to decorate, paint, maybe it's put a saying, a Bible verse, however you want to decorate your stud, as long as you don't really damage or alter the structural integrity of the stud. So then we have the Stud Finder event where people can come together and they look at all the studs and meet the family that will occupy the house at the same time. So it's a really cool experience and metaphor to remind that family of all the literal and figurative support that's behind the walls once they're all sheetrocked in. But we've had such great success over the last year with our with our sponsor stud program, that we thought we'd kind of take it to a next level and have our Stud of the Month calendar. So we're looking for folks who want to sponsor a stud and then pose with their actual stud in a 2021 calendar for us. And we think, that it's about letting your imagination really kind of run wild. It totally, if it's a dentist who wants to decorate their stud horizontally as a big set of teeth, maybe it's a local karate dojo where you're actually look like you're about to, break that board a little bit.
But don't.
Maybe it's someone in a band who who paints or decorates the stud to look
Uh,
like a string bass or a, or a
Ooh,
guitar.
that's fun.
So we think it's really a fun idea that people, you're just limited by your creativity. So obviously 12 months in the year, we're looking for 12 people to sponsor a stud and have their photograph taken before November 1st. So that we
Yeah.
can get these calendars out and printed and be able to sell them by the holiday time.
I love it. So I love so much about this. One, I had before the house I'm in now, I had a home that was like 100-year-old home.
Yes.
And we had gone through room by room and done a ton of improvement. And when we had taken down to the studs, some of the rooms, to find where people had made notes, there was some notes on some of the studs. There was a hammer left in the wall, like these little treasures you find. But to think that this family is moving into a home that already has so much love behind
Yes.
it, right? Everything that has been
Yes.
done to make this possible. But then knowing even further, like behind these walls, behind that sheetrock and the paint, that there are all these messages of love and community, I think is so cool. And the calendar part is just really neat because once you put up, the sheetrock and you paint over it, it won't be seen again unless they tear into the wall, right? But that calendar
Correct.
is just that reminder and that visual of at least 12, I guess 12 of those.
Yes,
Those
absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
so cool. I
So,
love it. Love it.
well, thanks. We've been trying to work hard finding some unique ideas,
Mhm.
and we really like the idea and know this is a super creative community and that
Yeah.
people we hope will have a lot of fun with it. So we've had fun coming up with the opportunities and look forward to people taking
Yeah.
part in that.
So if somebody wants to sponsor, is it something they just call you or what's the best
Absolutely,
way?
they
Yep,
can call
call.
me. Yep.
Okay, awesome. And then you have something for spring
We
coming
do.
up.
So again, try again in that challenge of trying to find what can we plan ahead for that we may not have to either, kind of pull the plug on at the last minute or revamp a little bit. So we've been looking for an opportunity really to how can we get people engaged with our mission? How can we get them to understand the way that we feel when we are able to turn that set of keys over to that new family that we have spent nearly a year creating this habitat for them and get to hand it over to somebody else and see the joy and the pride and the self-reliance that it's created within them. So we decided if we could get a hammer into more hands, not
Mm,
necessarily on a house job site, but if they could understand that same feeling, that we think people would have a better understanding what it is we do on a daily basis.
yeah.
So we created this event called Habitats for Habitat. So when everybody is at home during the winter, when the
Mm,
weather's keeping you indoors and whatever else might be keeping us indoors, right? That
yeah.
we want you to use your creativity and create a habitat for any one of God's creatures. So maybe it's a birdhouse made out of popsicle sticks.
Mm,
Maybe
mhm.
it's a dollhouse. Maybe it's a tricked out doghouse that looks like a miniature fire station. Or maybe it's a backyard shed where maybe it's a themed shed where someone could do gardening. Maybe it's a place where your band rehearses. Maybe it's just a little she shed. Maybe it's a reading nook. So whatever kind of habitat you'd like to create, we want to be able to put those on display. We're partnering with Hard Rock and also with Fleet Farm to have them
Cool.
on display so that you can drive by in the spring when we're all trying to get our backyards beautified a little bit,
Mhm.
after the dull gray winter. And then people will be able to bid mobily on these sheds, and the winning bidders for each of these sheds then will be turned over and taken home by these amazing
Cool.
winners.
Oh, I love it. That's such a fun, creative idea. So cool. Okay.
Well,
And same way is like just to call, right? Get,
absolutely. And you can also, another email address for you is development@siouxlandhabitat.org. That gets you in touch with Nancy, who's in our development office as well. So that might be an easy thing to remember too,
gotcha.
development@siouxlandhabitat.org, and we can get you all hooked up. So we're not only for that looking for people who want to create a habitat. And again, let your imagination kind of run wild, right?
Mhm.
Anything that you can envision. I mean, maybe it's a rabbit hutch. So we're just trying to expand it to, increase our mission to all of God's creatures as opposed
Huh.
to just humans. But we're also looking obviously for sponsors for the event. And from some of the people that we've kind of talked with initially, trying to get some feedback. Do we think this event how successful can we make it? The
Mhm.
feedback has been amazing and people have come up with ideas that we didn't even have. We've
Mm.
got a couple of businesses who said, you know what, I think we want to partner with a Boy Scout troop and we want to let them build it and we'll
Mm.
decorate it. And we've got a construction company who
Love
said,
it.
look, we're yeah, I think we can build a couple of these. We'll use it for our apprentice program
Mhm,
during the winter when we're
mhm.
inside building. And then we're going to partner with an art gallery then who can kind of gussy it up, from a decorative
Yeah.
standpoint. So again, I think it's a place where people can forge partnerships, maybe with youth groups, church organizations,
Mhm.
or other businesses that might have a different area of expertise than yours, and be able to really create an amazing and creative product that will live in someone else's backyard while again pushing forward the process of helping someone else get a home in their own backyard as well.
Mhm. Mm. All right. So as always, we are going to have their website on here. I'm actually going to add that email, the development email on here,
Okay.
phone number, Facebook page, everything. So it is quick and easy access for all of you listening. So you don't even have to look it up. We'll have that,
Great.
all that right on this post. So just really encourage all of you guys to get involved, get engaged with the Siouxland Habitat for Humanity. They're doing amazing things for this community. So before we wrap up, Anne, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on tonight?
I think we're great. I think we just want
Yeah.
to reinforce how grateful we are to this
Mhm.
community. This has been a community that has continued to support us really for almost 3 decades, and we are grateful for that. And so are, the 65 families who've been able to move into a Habitat home. And we look forward to continuing our mission and making a bigger impact. We feel like the more houses we can build, we feel like we're just kind of scratching the surface right now.
Mhm.
And so if we can increase the number of houses that we're going to build, we feel like we can make a bigger stamp on this community and this region as a whole. So we just want to say thank you to everyone and know that we are constantly evolving and looking for all kinds of ways that people can be involved.
Yeah. And I know before we had even got on here tonight, we talked a little bit about the impact of COVID and the fact that, housing is, and paying your mortgages is more challenging than ever. And so being able to, if you can, to donate can really help because you guys are doing some things. And I just want to touch on this real quick too, before we wrap up. And I'll just let you share, but you guys are doing some things to help people in
We
that
are. I mean,
regard.
we're certainly not the only nonprofit who's been impacted by the pandemic. And, for-profit businesses, we acknowledge as well have been impacted. But before we came in here tonight, at least half of all households had already had to make a concession somewhere in their lives in
Mhm.
order to meet their rent or their mortgage. And I mean, those concessions can come anywhere in the form of whether it's a second job, it might be having to compromise on healthcare, it might be having to forego groceries, it might mean having to relocate to a less safe neighborhood. And so we really believe that with all of those ripple effects from COVID, that we think those situations and those decisions are going to get harder and harder for households
Mhm.
to make. And it's going to create an even bigger need for safe, decent, and affordable housing in our community. And so one of the things that we've been able to do during COVID, and we would love to be able to find ways to continue to do it as long as this pandemic, kind of hangs on, is some of the programs we've been able to do include kind of for those families who might be short some on their monthly mortgage. And as we know during COVID, it's not all that unrealistic that that's happened, whether it's you've lost your job or maybe you've just been laid off for a time. So one of these programs, we've been able to help those people to provide some additional funds to go towards their monthly mortgage to
Mhm.
help keep them current on their payments so that they don't fall behind. And we are constantly hearing from Habitat International, our parent company, about additional opportunities, partners like Thrivent and other organizations who are making that possible. So as we continue to receive funds and have additional funding opportunities, we'd love to be able to continue to make that happen for our current
Mhm.
Habitat homeowners so that they can continue to stay current on their payments.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for everything that you guys are doing. Thank you to all of you out there in the community who are, we're all doing our part. And it's really beautiful to see how everybody's coming together and we are supporting one another. You did,
Absolutely.
you did mention, Anne, that you've got a hammer, some kind of cool things that you said, I've got some things I would love to
Yeah.
gift to somebody listening out there. So,
So yeah, so we've got a hammer and it says future volunteer on it. So I'm not sure you can see that so
yeah.
well. And then this is really new for us, but we are loving it. And I'm going to spare you from putting it around my waist. But we've
Oh,
got
that's
this
a
really
very
cool tool
tool
belt that's
belt.
also engraved with our logo that, I mean, really any DIYer
Nice.
would love to have it. So got lots of really cool compartments to keep everything you need right at the waist level.
Awesome. And so we're going to give that away to one of you guys out there, but we don't know who
Awesome.
you are. We can't draw randomly without knowing who you are. So just put a comment in the feed so we know you're out there. And then in a few days from now, we'll just randomly draw somebody once we've got some people to draw from. But
That
just
sounds great.
I appreciate it, Anne, so much. Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for your gift. Thank you for everything that you are doing. It means a lot to this community.
Well, we love our jobs. We love impacting families in the community. And Stacy, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you what you're doing every week with nonprofits to help share the word and share really the great news that's happening out there in our community right now. So thank you.
Yeah, it's always good to put our focus on the positive, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
we create
Easy to get caught up in some other
in the
things. So let's
negative.
focus on the positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Anne, for your time tonight. Thank you, all of you out there who tuned in and stayed with us through this conversation tonight. And if you happen to be a small business owner or you are with a nonprofit and you want to do one of these spotlights, just like Anne did this evening, all you have to do is go to siouxlandmagazine.com. My contact information is on the bottom. So just reach out to me and I will get you scheduled. I would love to have you on. Again, the whole purpose of this is to bring us together as a community, make sure that we've got this little time and space to kind of communicate and find out what the needs are, find out how we can support each other. There's nothing like coming together and having a really good conversation. So appreciate all of you out there. Thank you again, Anne, for joining me tonight. And until next time, everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye.